Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Dave Yosta. I'm the president of the Managed Service Provider Association of America. Today, we are joined by Shane Brown from DigeTekS. Shane, thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I'm glad we finally got this. It's been a few weeks, so I'm glad we actually got to speak to each other today. Before we jump into anything, Shane, tell us a bit about who you are, what the company is about, where you're located.
So, obviously, Shane Brown listed here on the screen, spelled pretty straightforward, but company is DigeTekS, not spelled as straightforward. And we are based in Colorado. We actually have customers all across the country and quite a bit of employees right along the Front Range, clear up into northern Wyoming. And we support all kinds and sizes of businesses. We do have a higher focus in the compliance area and security. So we have a number of hospitals and banks and financial institutions that we help quite a bit with to help with that whole compliance piece and really make it easier for them.
You mentioned compliance there for a second. And I know a lot of folks, a lot of companies are focusing a lot on compliance nowadays. But for someone who does not understand compliance, what does that mean exactly?
Well, in the financial industry, that means you're getting audited and they're actually going through your information and looking at stuff. But outside of that, just for everybody on an everyday basis, compliance is getting your security items business in a state of just managing and securing things in general. It's not necessarily just computers. It could be literally just a file on how you shred it and when you destroy company information or where it's stored and who has keys to that. But definitely has to do with computers and how you secure that data and what layers you put in place and how it's managed. So it's regulations put together by organizations that manage the industry that you're working in and meeting those needs to keep your insurance, keep your business licenses, keep your data secured, and keep the hackers out.
So let me ask this question. This might be a bit of a shotgun question here, but with a lot of these financial institutions, do you find that a lot of them are compliant?
So, depending on the level of the
Sure.
financial institution, I will say banks, yes, solid compliance, but we're going through audits on a regular basis, annually with independent auditors, regularly with state auditors, regularly with federal auditors. And they are sitting there, they spend a week looking through the books, each one of them independently. When you go all the way down through the financial sector, down to CPAs, and just who is doing your taxes and who is keeping all of your PII and PII being your personal information with your socials and your job information and your loans and your bank information, who keeps it and how do they secure it? A lot of CPAs don't realize the IRS does have a set of regulatory requirements that you are
Sure.
required to have in place. And we find that that is not always being met. So the CPA side, not so much. The banking side, you could probably feel pretty safe with your information.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you with the banks. So then let's say I'm a CPA and I come to you and say, hey, I have a problem with compliance. I'm about to go through an audit. Your company comes in and you obviously have the FTC safeguard rules, right? And you jump in line and you say, okay, well, this is what we need to do from point A to point B, and you walk clients through the whole process. About right, correct?
That is completely right. We walk them through it, and then however much help they want, we go in and help encrypt the sections of data that they need. We help them put together written policies, a WISP, a written information security policy, just so they have things documented on how they should be handled. So every employee understands the standard process for all of it. And so we can just give them ideas of what they need to do and go through and help them complete all those. So from all levels.
And you obviously the expert as their provider. You provide obviously not only the tech support, but the consultancy and the advice to these. I'm going to use CPAs because you mentioned them earlier on, right?
Yeah.
So you develop these WIFs and you go through all the safeguards. At the end of the day, you can make a recommendation. Your company and your team has the experience and the expertise to enforce this. Do you find that in the financial industry that companies are accepting help from MSPs?
It is becoming much, much, much more common. It's
Mhm.
becoming more difficult for folks to do on their own. They have a business to run. They have other things to do. They need to keep things running. They have employees to take care of and issues to deal with on that. And to put IT and compliance on top of that, it's becoming to the point of needing somebody who understands what's happening, monitoring as things change, keeping on top of security issues as they are present so that the entire environment is taken care of. It's very common now for people to want to have that additional support and help.
Well, that's good to know. I'm happy about that. All right, let's jump into you and your company a little bit here. So, you guys on the Front Range, like you said, you Colorado, you obviously service people and companies across the nation. Is that correct?
Yes, we do. We have employees in New Jersey, Florida, Chicago, out in Hawaii, and of course all along the Rocky Mountain region, but all over the place.
And your role, you're the CEO. And I'm going to ask you another question. Yeah, myself, I love tech. I love playing with tech. I do it all the time. You are an owner of a tech company, so you obviously love tech yourself, right?
Of
Do
course.
you get involved in the technical support of the company and your clients?
Not as much anymore. I definitely did a lot of it when we started and still enjoy it and try to get my nose into stuff where I can. But again, I'm running a company, have a ton of
You
employees to manage. So keeping busy on the back end doing that is also keeps me occupied.
mentioned employees there for a second. Just very briefly, at a very high level here, do you have an account manager that you assign to particular clients, or how does that work for you guys?
We do. We have account managers that go out and work with clients on a regular basis to just review where they're at, what projects they're working on, what their needs are, how things are changing in the industry, and what that might mean to them. I mean, just even a quick one is CMMC got ratified last week. And what does that really mean to people? And how does it impact how they're doing business? And obviously, if you have a contract that requires it, how do you keep that so you don't lose your contract and lose money? But
Yeah.
we have account managers that go in and review that with them and keep them up on it.
Okay. And I do have to ask this question, and we ask all MSPs this question is, throughout the United States, there's thousands of MSPs, managed service providers. What is it about your company that makes you a little bit different?
And that's a great question because when you go out and you're just searching the web, you're trying to find an MSP, it's hard. How do you
Yeah.
find somebody that you can trust and know they're going to do a good job? How do you know it's not just a couple kids that finish high school and they're starting their own business and they are really good at building PCs, but they don't really understand compliance.
Yeah.
So it's really getting to talk to them and look at their history and what they do. We have many cybersecurity awards where we've brought companies into a full cyber compliance environment. They've been tested and audited, and we have actual awards that we've been given because of us getting them there. We are strong on the compliance piece. We are working with auditors on a regular basis, going into those interviews for the week and taking the hits of, are you doing this now? Are you doing this now? We have consultants that are working with companies that have a worldwide presence and implementing products and really making sure that they are working and keeping the business more effective in the long term. So we have a ton of not only history, we've been around for almost 20 years now. We have a ton of processes, compliance piece, security awards, everything to show that we're here to really help the business.
Okay. I mean, you gave us a lot of information there. I love that you mentioned awards, and one of the other questions I was going to ask you was, how long has a company been around? And you said 20 years.
Yes. It'll
And
be
you started the company yourself?
Yes, I actually have a partner, Logan Greening. He and I started the company. We needed a job. Okay, we actually wanted to help the customers out and really keep their environments more better optimized, working well. We have a ton of history and knowledge in it, and so we started talking to folks and really wanted to. It was really in just the desire to help folks. We're now in the desire to really keep them secure. And
Sure.
when I'm doing presentations and I'm getting invited to do presentations at these events and talk to folks, the bigger thing is it's not spending a ton of money on the security. It's not really spending a ton of effort. It's doing just enough to get these people to go pay attention to somebody else because they're looking for easy targets. They're not going
Yeah.
to want to spend a lot of time just hacking somebody that's spent a ton of money and really secured the environment. And if we can get them to where they're not making money doing this anymore, they're going to have to go do something else and actually help the world in general and be in a better place instead of just hacking
Taking from it,
everybody,
right?
right?
Yeah, we speak to a lot of MSPs, and almost every single MSP we speak to started out the way you guys started out. It seems like it's a big trajectory. And I think, you said it earlier on in the beginning when companies are looking to validate MSPs is, are you just a kid who's just come out of college? And that happens. Unfortunately, it does. It also comes back to, sometimes we started like that as well, right? And I think it's not really of how you start, it's, how you establish yourself, getting the certifications, getting the experience, getting the support behind you so you can support those clients, right?
Definitely. And we all start somewhere, right? I mean,
No,
we're
absolutely, right?
definitely exactly where you're saying it. But it's at what point do you move from just building a PC and
Yeah,
helping your neighbors to actually going into a Fortune 500 company? Like we've worked with Ball Aerospace and Boulder, and just that you have to earn the qualifications, credentials, and experience to really move into a larger business and provide those types of needs compared to where you're
yeah,
starting. So depending on where you're at in your business and what you're doing, I mean, we may not be the perfect fit for everybody because of that too. I mean,
yeah,
so maybe the kids out of college are a better fit for somebody just getting started because they have a different need and a different budget.
sure. Um, Shane, we're about up on time here, but before we do close, I wanted to give you an opportunity to have any closing comments. So, anyone who's watching this now or in the future, what is one message you would like to convey to them?
That really go out and take a look at what you're doing in your business, how you're managing it, what's going on with IT. The things that are changing right now is bigger security needs, compliance is getting more difficult, and automation. Don't neglect them. Pay attention to them. Start doing all of this a little at a time until your businesses also get better. Your automation is helping make things easier, and don't get behind the eight ball because if you don't stay on top of technology anymore, your company's going to fall behind.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Shane, thank you so much for this time. Thank you so much for your insight. And anyone who is watching, if you want to connect with DigeTekS or Shane, just reach out to them. His name is below. His website is also below. Go have a look. Maybe they work for you, and maybe you find something useful that you can reach out to them. Shane, thanks so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You have a fantastic day.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye.